Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new talk show on my YouTube channel called The Fellows. I'm your host today, Jack Off Beer. Now let's meet the other fellows. To my left, we got Michael.
What's up?
And then to my right, we got Tom McDonald. Fellows, how are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good.
It's a pretty,
nice day out.
very nice day. Nice to be outside, to record this in the outside.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear.
Got to change the scenery up once in a while.
Just a little bit.
Now, guys, we have a lot to talk about in today's episode. Today, everyone, we will be talking about some sports news from the different leagues, the Massachusetts mask mandate lifted, and then we'll be discussing some hot takes, and then finally, we'll wrap up today's show talking about what's good eats and bad eats and the fun fact of the day. So, first thing in sports, Kyle, Bruins, man. Big game last night.
I tell you what, that was definitely a momentum shifter for them in the series. Winning in the Coliseum, that's a difficult thing to do.
It really is.
They held the game to a 1-0 lead. Most of the game until about
Middle third, I think, beginning-ish.
That goal by Barzal, that was definitely a heartfelt goal.
It was.
Well-deserved goal.
That,
The thing that frustrated me the most about that was Vasilevsky. Why am I saying him? Varlamov. The puck was in the same exact spot in the Islanders' end.
yeah,
There you go. But when it happened down in Rask's end,
it went in.
ended up in the back.
Yeah.
But yes, that was definitely.
You do got to talk about that, how difficult that shot that Brad Marchand made, though. That was a very tough shot, and he pulled it off.
He sniped
I
out
tell you how
right.
he pulled it off right by one camera angle. Watch it from the camera angle that's behind the benches. Varlamov, he was screened.
Yeah,
He
he
couldn't
couldn't.
see Marchand at that point in time the shot was taken. And he just threw it in the net.
Yeah. He just prayed it, and it went in. It was very.
Yeah,
It wasn't just luck, though. I feel like it was skill-based. But
Marchand definitely knew that Varlamov couldn't
yeah,
see him.
I
He
agree
was
with
on
you.
the puck.
Yes. But I gotta say, I agree with you. It was a very big momentum shift for them. They really needed to get a win there, since they got a win in Boston.
Especially those last very tough game
Yeah.
that we had in the Garden there.
Yep. And I feel like that's gonna lead them to the next game, especially how good. I feel like it was an intense game. I feel like they did have control for most of it, though. I feel like they did do a good part, especially Rask stepping up, not letting in as much goals this time. He really did a good job.
And I say the one thing that's still killing the Bruins, man, is those turnovers, man. We keep turning them over.
I do agree. I do agree with you. I feel
turnover, man. How you can contest.
turnovers they kill you, man. They really do give the other.
Especially when it's to the killer B line of the Islanders.
Yes.
Beauvillier and Barzal.
Yeah.
It just gets you.
I do gotta say though, I am happy that the Bruins made the off season that they did. They really brought in a lot of speed, and I feel like that is the reason they are where they are today. I feel like if they re-signed Char and all that, I feel like he wouldn't have been able to keep up with what they're trying to do now. And I feel like they complimented Brad and all those people by bringing in Hall and all that. It really did help them in the playoffs, and I feel like now that they're doing that, I see them definitely making a really good push now.
They won the trade deadline. There's no question.
I
about
do
it.
agree.
From a Boston fan perspective, they won it.
And on the topic of hockey, I would like to talk about the Maple Leafs. The disappointing in the playoffs yet again. They failed their fans again.
Montreal is they paid Carey Price $10 million to stop $40 million worth of players.
Exactly, and he did.
He did the job.
He did. You gotta realize they stepped up in a big moment when they needed them, and they stepped up.
Backs against the wall. They did what they had to do.
Speaking of still on the topic of hockey, Kyle, that Winnipeg player suspended for 4 games for that vicious hit against that poor
Yeah, I did see that. That was.
Yeah, Marchand, the evidence that.
Man charged, man was like a football field. Man,
He thought he was.
turned around and just.
Man thought it was a form tackle from the
His
NFL.
mission was kill and destroy, and he successfully did that.
He really did.
Mark Scheifele, you're an assistant captain for arguably a really good playoff franchise.
And you kind of screwed him.
You screwed them, not you screwed yourself.
Yeah.
It's game 1 of the series, and now, God forbid, Montreal takes what happened during that game, and they just use that
As momentum.
momentum. You just cost your team a series
Yeah.
that they'll never get back. But just very uncalled for. The puck was already across the goal line. It would be a much different story if he was going after.
Yeah, but in that situation, it's already done. You can't. Once it's done, it's done. You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff.
No, especially not as in.
But I gotta say, the playoffs for hockey have been very entertaining. I have, especially when the games get close, like the Islanders and the Penguins. That came down to it, and Islanders really pulled out in the end. But
They show life way too
I know in hockey, you can't be late to the party, and maybe you could say that for other sports. Football, definitely in like the fourth quarter, if you show life, then you can pull it through. But not in hockey. If you're down, you're down, and it's over.
All right, guys. Next, we all know the Kyrie Irving situation. Talk to me, boys. What do you got for this?
I gotta say, especially with what Kevin Garnett said, he brought it up. He goes, the fan is in the wrong. He shouldn't have done what he did, but you can't come into a team that is so passionate, with the fan base that they have, and disrespect their logo like that, and then have the words afterwards, like, yes, you can say that it was like a racist act or whatever. I know that's what he said, and sometimes that happens in the sport. The fan situation's been happening a lot. But
the thing that really calmed you is that the fact that you called it a racist act, like you stopped and spoke.
Exactly, and you can't say that they're targeting you because of racism when you're disrespecting such an icon in Boston.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Should the fan have taken it?
No, exactly.
That's something that should have been left up to the players.
Yeah, I agree with that.
After he did that, there was nowhere for the players to be able to do anything.
In my opinion, my opinion might be different from you guys, but I don't think he should have gotten league charged. I know it's just a water bottle, but I personally think he should have just gotten banned from the TD Garden and fined.
I agree with that, but the way they look at it from a law perspective, it was what he did. He was intoxicated, and the weight of the object, even though it was a water bottle, it passed a weight limit that counts as a deadly weapon in the sense of law in Massachusetts, and so that is why he's getting charged. I don't know if it's going to go for him going to jail or not. I don't know if that's where it's going. I know it's technically, like, I'm pretty sure it's a felony, right?
I saw what's the word Massachusetts Instagram page. They posted the law. They put it on, I think it was their story, or either just straight out posted it. And the minimum, from what I heard, was a huge fine.
It is a big fine because it's assault. Yeah.
And jail time. So he's going to jail one way or another.
Yeah. He's not being this case.
He is.
And the video shows that the fan that threw the ball out did miss Kyrie's face by like a couple inches.
I do. He did miss him. So technically it wasn't assault because he didn't hit him. It should have been intent to assault, which means it would have been less time. But exactly. But Kyrie he really did push the issue, and I guess that is why they took this to another level in that sense. But speaking of the Celtics, I gotta say, I wasn't surprised when they lost. I was surprised they got one game at least. I was very happy that they got the gentleman's sweep in that sense, but I still believe even if we had Brown, I think it still would have been lost. It's really hard going up against a team even like the Nets when you have scores like that are so well.
They have like 3 top 10
players in the league. Yeah.
You can't.
You have Kevin Durant that all you can do is just guard him in the post. Kyrie's just nasty with handles. Harden has a step back. You can't. No one can make it.
I gotta say though.
I'm not a basketball fan.
Yeah, I do gotta say, even with the situation, in a way, I do like the way the team is heading. I kind of like them moving Brad Stevens to the position and getting rid of Ainge, even though I feel like, in my eyes, I feel like they wanted to get rid of him. I don't think they retired. I feel like they kind of forced him to retire because of the complications he was having towards the team, He wasn't allowing us to get trades because of how he was during trade deadlines and stuff. He was very toxic to other teams. He wasn't really, giving them issues.
From what I'm hearing, he was not one to be very nice.
Yes, I agree. I feel like putting Brad Stevens, I feel like he didn't really get a lot of say in what he got. I feel like putting him in a position from being the coach this year to being a GM he understands what the team needs, and I feel like he'll be able to bring it in.
At the same time, he knows a lot of these young guys that are coming into the locker room, so he at least has some sort of chemistry to tamper with
And talk to
play
them.
around with and see what
He
works.
can talk to them and see what they feel like they need. I do feel, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I do believe that one of the big pieces that might be going in a trade is Marcus Smart. I feel like they're going to use him as trade.
It's possible.
I feel like he's still young.
Free agency, you never know.
Yep, he's young. He's a young player. He has a lot of money on his contract when we brought him back. I do feel like a lot of teams need a player with his defensive abilities, teams that are lacking.
By the way, he's locked down some of the best scorers in the league. He's locked
Yes.
down Katie at times. He's locked down Harden.
And I feel like bringing, putting him on the trade block, especially with Brad Stevens now, maybe get a center, someone that can help us in the post. Don't get me wrong, I like Williams, but I feel like he'll be better coming off the bench as like a smaller center that moves faster against another team's bench, or maybe moving Tristan Thompson as a bench center, because I feel like he's good. I wouldn't put him as like a top center. I feel like putting him on the bench, he can compete better with bench centers than he can with starting centers in the league. So I feel like with the moves that they're doing, that's the direction that Brad Stevens might move it in. But big piece is getting a head coach, and we don't know who that's going to be.
Well, what I've been hearing, I listen to a lot of 98.5 on the Sports Hub, Boston Sports Radio, as most of us Massachusetts people know. And they've been mentioning how Stevens has been getting contract extensions of up to 5 years.
Yes.
So what I've been kind of feeling on this one, what I've heard from them, is that they have 5 years on a contract extension, God knows when he signed.
Yeah.
And they don't want him as head coach right now. So for the rest of the extension, they were like, okay, so they didn't want to just
Get rid of
pay
him.
him to sit around.
So they put him as a
Take
GM.
2 years vacation.
But
So they put him up in a position so he's not sitting on
I
the
do
clock.
feel like though, if he does do a good job at bringing in players, they might seek him. I do feel like he was a very good coach. I just feel like they weren't giving him what he needed to win. I feel like, yes, they brought in, they got Tatum, they got Brown.
This goes for every sport. There's only a certain amount that a coach can do as far as trading and draft picks go.
Yeah,
It's more the GM and more of the upper management.
like the Texans.
Right.
Yeah, that's just a whole nother situation. But I just feel like if you can't just have a good coach. You have to have a good GM. And, you can see that with the Patriots. The past couple of years, they have Belichick, he's good. They went to the Super Bowl, but they never brought in people afterwards. They thought, we can ride on this train that's falling apart.
At the same time, with a good coach and a good GM, you also have to have a good leader in the locker room.
True.
That's where that chemistry and everything else will originate.
And I feel like, right now, I feel like that's Tatum. I feel like Tatum has really taken, as a young player, he's really gotten the respect of everybody.
He has the opportunity right now to be a very good franchise.
60-point games, 50-point. He was doing it all the season. And
How old is he?
I think he's only maybe 23. I think he was only drafted a couple of years ago. He was drafted with and Ben Simmons in that draft class.
Celtics don't royally screw it up.
He will get. No, he signed wasn't it a 5 or 6 year contract?
He's going to stay for a little bit.
Yes, and he gets more money depending on how good he does, the All-Star game, stuff like that, and he's definitely going to get that money. I believe that he is that good of a player.
And fun fact that I learned that this year is Tatum's the first player ever to score 50 points in a regular season game,
And a playoff
and a
game.
playoff game, and a play-in game.
Correct. Yep.
So there's the answer to that.
He is just on another level, especially combined with Brown. They have a very good relationship on the court, and when they're both.
What about when Kemba Walker gets back? How do you feel?
I feel like
He needs to produce more.
if he does not step up,
He needs to produce.
he is. I'm pretty sure this next year is his last year on his contract, and I feel like if he does not step up next year,
He's out.
I think we're gonna look.
We have to go shopping.
We're gonna maybe combination with him and Smart. We get a center and a point guard, you know, and
You gotta try and trade up for a first round draft.
that
pick and see
too.
what you can do.
Or Steph Curry, he's coming up. Maybe he'll want to come. I'm not saying he will.
Step to Boston.
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that he's a free agent coming up.
lot of free
There's a
agents.
lot of free agents that are coming up, and then a lot of them are very good.
LeBron free agent Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant is. He signed that.
I'm never going.
I don't think he would. I do believe it.
I'm just saying.
I can bet on
I do gotta say though,
Boston.
I'm not saying next year. Maybe not next year, but the year after. I feel like they maybe have a strong chance. But I think they have a strong chance of making it to the finals. Maybe even next year, depending on the moves they make in the offseason. I feel like they are a strong contender.
Yep. Still in basketball, the Trailblazers and up 3-2 with Denver right now in the playoff series.
They were up.
Shocking. Devin Booker and the Suns took down the Lakers last night.
I did see that. Devin
First time in LeBron's career.
14-0, and now he is 14-1. All the best. He did put on a very good game, though. I gotta say, he did. And I was very shocked that they put AD in for a couple minutes at the beginning of the game. We didn't look 100%. I don't know why they tried to force him into the game.
I wasn't watching much of the game. Jericho was with me. We were watching the V's game, but from
I
what I heard, it was a tough
it was very tough. I gotta say though, LeBron, I give him props. He really put all he could into that game to try to win it. He tried to push his team, and it's hard when you're the only, person that can produce. And so,
That's what I feel like happened with the Celtics with Kyrie. Kyrie was the only one that was able to produce.
I do feel that. I also believe that he didn't have that chemistry with Tatum and Brown. He wasn't connecting with them, and that's why I feel like they weren't producing. But LeBron's doing good, but the concern is with AD, Like right now he's in like that prime state and he's getting hurt like it's like he's in his late 30s, And this is the time you got to produce, and like that worries. Like I feel like the Lakers should look at that, the whole organization, and they should see like, can we trust him? I don't know if they can trust him. He gets hurt like way too easily.
When he was in Cleveland, that was just a straight out super team.
Yeah.
He had so many people, so many guys around him on the court.
Kyrie.
Not only helped him make him better, but himself.
Correct.
And that's what they were able to take off.
And so when he went to the Lakers last year, he had all those pieces, and this year, he just had AD. And I know they tried to bring in everything. God, they have Kuzma. I feel bad for them. Kuzma is.
Kuzma's struggling.
He's struggling, and I don't know if they will.
He might be.
He might be gone. He might go to China, play in China.
I did hear that.
China?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, Shanghai. Yeah.
Yes. I did hear that. Yeah.
But I do feel like LeBron did give it his all. Like I'm not gonna hate on him for not trying, and he really.
Don't give him credit.
Correct. And I'm also gonna give credit to the Suns. They first time in a while they made it to the playoffs. First time Devin Booker has made it to the playoffs.
Second time making the
What
second
was the
round.
score
Yep.
for the first quarter? It was some crazy number.
I think it was in the hundreds, right? It was like 100.
For the first quarter?
I didn't see the game.
Oh, not first quarter. Like I thought you meant like the first half.
I didn't see the
But
score.
I do gotta say, and wasn't it Chris Paul's first time making it out of the first round?
Yes.
And so they, Chris Paul popped off. Devin Booker, especially when he was dropping the numbers. I know he had like a 70-point game against the Celtics during the regular season. He was popping off all year, and he's trying to prove himself as one of the teams in the.
Look up my thoughts on
And so I feel like they have a strong chance of making it all the way.
Now, I don't know how many points Devin Booker had, but I knew he got in his Duffy.
He really did, especially him and Chris Paul. They really played well together.
I just got the score for the first quarter of the game last night. At the beginning of the first, the Lakers had 14 points.
To what?
To 36.
Yeah, that's just, and that's,
More than double.
and I feel like that's all in part for them trying to force AD in. I know he played the whole first half of the game, and he's not doing what he normally does, and that really hindered them. I didn't say I know I had my ideas that they might win, but, I didn't think they were going to win. They had a chance. LeBron really sometimes pulls He pulls stuff that you don't think.
Yeah.
But maybe next year for them. I do feel like the Suns though, they could pull all the way and maybe make a finals appearance and maybe win the whole thing. I do see that, and on basketball too. Portland and Denver, the series just ended last night. Portland lost 4-2 in the series, and the idea for Lillard, does he stay with the team? He's given the team his all. And I know he put a post out on Instagram saying like, I forget what it was.
It was like a caption like
Nipsey
like,
Hussle.
yeah.
Yep. And so,
What was the caption?
I will look it up.
That caption will probably definitely be a key clue as to what he's doing.
But he put that out there, and like, if he decides to trade himself and requests a trade, I can't blame him. I wouldn't hate him for wanting to get out. He gave the team all he could. He drops 60 points. He drops 50 points. He puts all these points up, and his team just fails around him. And I think he's getting up there. I think he's in his 30s now, and I feel like he deserves to go somewhere that's going to give him a championship.
If he does choose to stay with the team, that shows so much character that he has, that he's willing to work with these guys and help them out.
I think, but after this quote, he put this quote out, it's from Nipsey Hussle. He says, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation?" And I feel like after him saying that, he's been dedicated since he's been there. They've made it to the playoffs year after year after year, and they just get knocked out in the first round. And you can't blame him. He drops 60 points a game. Like, you can't. He's doing all he can, and it's hard. And he's still doing good, and yet his team is not. And so
on the Nuggets, topic of the Nuggets and Blazers, Jokic is playing out of his mind.
I do.
He's in the top 3 for MVP candidates right now.
I see him winning.
I think he should win the MVP.
I do.
Basketball, I hear about it, but I've heard his name.
Yes, he is very.
Out of his mind.
He had a great year last year, and I feel like he elevated so much this year on top of that, and that's hard to do. And I think he did it, and I'm very impressed.
Indeed.
Another team we could talk about, Washington and Philly.
Philly handled
They did handle their business, but you can't disregard what Westbrook did, man. The amount of triple doubles he was averaging was a league high in the playoffs, and
Any word on how long Embiid is going to be out?
I don't think it's too long because it's a small tear. They're probably gonna. I think
Something in his knee.
it was a meniscus tear, but they said it was a very minor tear that, the only thing that would keep him off the court is just the discomfort. He can play on it.
So we'll have to wait and see.
You have to take a very
Yep,
self-control.
and they do have the time to rest him right now in between the series changed. So I think he'll be good. And I got to give it to Washington. They put up I think they got 2 wins on Philly, and I think they put up a great fight. And a person I would like to see the Celtics look after is Bradley Beal. He had a great season, and I feel like he could be very valuable to our team if Brad Stevens sees that. And I feel like maybe he'll make a move on Bradley Beal. I don't know what his contract's looking like.
Also, what is the salary cap for the Celtics right now? Because that could be another huge.
If we put Marcus Smart in a trade, the cap would be easy to split. I know Marcus Smart is one of the highest cap hits we have on top of Tatum, but
Salary cap.
Tatum is worth all the money he has. You cannot hate on that. But I do feel like Bradley Beal might be a person to look out for Washington, as they have pieces, but I feel like their defense is lacking, and that is hard to say.
Another series I'm going to talk about is the Hawks and Knicks series. Trae Young just torched the Knicks every game.
Trae Young really put on a clinic out there. He was
just playing with the Knicks.
He was just playing with them. He only let him get 1 win. You can't even say he just toyed with the Knicks. He toyed with them and the fan base.
Yes, he did.
Especially after hitting that 3 in their very last game, and he bowed to the crowd.
Just disrespectful.
Disrespectful, but you know what?
He's got the ice in his veins.
He's got the ice in his veins, and what he was doing, he has the right to be able to do that. If he wasn't putting up numbers, yeah. But
He's got a lethal shot.
I'm looking at a negative number of 21 million right now.
And for the Celtics,
For the Celtics. So there's no way at all they're going to
unless they trade Smart. I know Smart is like a 60 mil cap hit.
They're paying right now 130 million in total salaries. The cap, and what are these numbers that I'm reading?
Basketball cap is very
It's different.
Bizarre.
yeah.
They're hard capped at 130,928,000. And it says that right now their total salaries, I think this is just for players. I don't know if they add all the general management coaches into the salary.
They
cap.
might.
Their total salaries that they're paying right now is $130,767,745.
It's a lot of money.
That's a huge. That's at least 90%.
I know Marcus Smart is a very big cap hit for us, though, and that's why I feel like they're going to look to trade him to open up some free things.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Next series, Memphis and Utah.
I know that they
Last I checked, I believe it was 3-2.
I do, and it was 3-1 Utah, but
My bad.
the Jazz did close it out. It's a 4-1 series right now. You know, they did have, gentleman sweep, and I can't give it. The Grizzlies did put up fights here and there.
John Morant, he's an excellent player, versatile.
I feel like if they give him pieces around him, I can see them coming back again next year.
Great to watch.
Especially with this new play-in tournament, I feel like they can do good. But you got to give it to the Jazz, They didn't let what happened to them last year happen. Hopefully they don't let what happened last year happen again where they lose in the second round.
Yeah.
They stood their ground.
Mavs and Clippers.
That game is, I'm enjoying that series because Luka, I love Luka.
Luka versus Kawhi is just.
And I know the Mavs took the game and took a lead in the series, making it 3-2, which is good. And I would like to see the Mavs move on. I feel like they deserve to move on. I know what Luka's been hitting. I know he hit that crazy 3-1 game where he just threw the ball up, and that was pretty crazy. And I would like to see Luka move into the second round. I'm pretty sure they play the Suns second round, I'm assuming, because they'll be the 6th seed. I think
That's gonna be a good series too.
I want the Suns to make it to the finals, but I think the Mavs will give them a run, and I think the Mavs are going to take that series. I really do think they will. I don't know if I think they're back in Dallas, I think. I don't know. I think they're back home, and so I think they'll take that series.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also fun to watch Luka versus Kawhi because we all know that Kawhi is a very excellent, good defender.
He proved that with the championship.
And I do got to say, Luka has been putting up big numbers for having Kawhi on him. He's been hitting great shots.
And Kawhi's been
Struggling, too, and it's crazy to see.
offensive side. Paul George has been doing all right in this series.
He has.
The next series, the Bucks.
The Bucks really handled the Heat, 4-0 the Heat, and I'm not surprised that is what happened. Giannis was heated after. I feel like last year he was very heated, and he wanted to come back and he wanted to say, this is what you were gonna get last year, and he did. And so
you know what I'm excited for? I'm excited for the Bucks next series.
I do, and you know what? It's gonna be a great series, and
I want the Bucks out of that so bad.
I think the Bucks can take a really. I think they could beat the Nets. I feel like it's their only competition because I know they had a regular season game and they came down to be very close, if I remember.
It's gonna be tough though.
It will be tough.
3 of the best scorers in the league. Giannis will probably.
But it's hard when you know how the Nets built their team. They're around speed. They're not around big defenders, and Giannis can take advantage of that.
Very, very much offense.
Yep, and I feel like Giannis. I know the Bucks like to run a 2-center split. They have Giannis and another center out there, and so they can just poster all day with the Nets. I feel like I know Blake Griffin is good, and I know they have another guy there, and they're good, but I don't know if they're gonna be able to stop Giannis in the post.
Just gonna get your popcorn ready, get your drinks ready.
Yep, that's gonna be a game, and I think that game could go to 7. I feel like they could take it to 7 if it does happen.
You know what else I'm ready to get some popcorn ready for? The Red Sox.
Red Sox, yes.
Speaking of baseball right now.
Yeah, the Red Sox have
The last couple games of years
they haven't been good, but you can't discredit the year they've had. They've had especially coming off of what they did last year, they've had a great year.
Underdog season.
And, they were first. They're not first because of what's been happening, but
Tampa Bay's now in first.
Tampa Bay's in first, but I still feel like
Two games back.
the Red Sox can pull it.
They're right there. Boston point of view, you can never count on Boston.
Exactly. And, I think that they have a good case of making it to the World Series, and I feel like,
I see it.
you know what, a hot take. I feel like they're gonna win the whole thing this year. I feel like they have that.
That is a hot take.
But I feel like what they've been putting on their offense, the defense they've had, that they've been getting out there and they've been hitting. I can't say that for the last couple games, but before the last couple of games, they went out, especially that they lost, especially at the beginning of the year. They lost 3 straight, and then they went on that massive winning streak. They were just hitting after hitting. They didn't make mistakes, and I think that's what's going to push them to.
I think after, I don't know if it was Rafael, someone made some really bad mistake at shortstop. I would say it was Devers. That in the third game. At the
Yes.
beginning of the season, that's when
They just, yep.
They were like, you know what, can't have
And they were they've been hitting a lot of home runs, a lot more than, I thought they were gonna. And so that's another team that I'm gonna look out for. I feel like they can pull it in, and I feel like the Bruins are gonna definitely make a good run for it as well.
Another one that I can see going very nice run possibly is the Pats.
I do, especially after the free agents they had brought in. I think Belichick is looking to bring back the Aaron Hernandez Gronkowski days with the 2 tight end looks when they brought in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, and I feel like that is why they haven't brought in big name wide receivers, because they're not going to have a lot of wide receivers on the field at the time of them running their offense, because they're going to be running a lot of concepts where the tight ends are crossing with maybe one wide receiver out there, and I feel like that is when the offense was at its best too, when we ran 2 really good tight ends. And I'm surprised, to be honest, that we got both of them. Those were the 2 out there in free agency, and we got both of them.
And Damien Harris coming out of the backfield.
And Damien Harris. We have a very stacked back.
We do.
We brought White back. We have, Sony Michel. He's on and off sometimes. He can have his games. He cannot.
I think he's going to do exceptional.
I hope he does. I do like him as a player. I know we didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but
He's young.
He's
He
from
is young.
Georgia, so go Dogs, baby. So
but especially Mac Jones in the draft. I feel like they're bringing in another guy. I feel like yes, that, and I feel like they're bringing in him at a good time. Cam Newton just had a full off season with the team, so I feel like Cam Newton can work with Mac Jones. I know a lot of people, a lot of the players have been loving Mac Jones with the fire he's had with the team.
They're going to do almost the same thing that the Bruins did with their goalies.
Oh, like switch him.
Switch them. They're
And-
two starting players. They're 2 players that can start a very well game.
And I feel like, I feel like they're gonna let Cam start the first 4 weeks just because of the toughness of the schedule. I know we have week 1 we have the Dolphins. I know we have Dolphins. We have the Saints at the beginning of the year, and then we had the Bucks, which is going to be an amazing game. I feel like maybe around Houston Texans when we play them. I feel like that's when if they and they don't have Watson either. And so I feel like that's a game where if they feel like maybe Cam Newton is struggling, they'll maybe put him in.
maybe in a healthy sit.
Healthy sit too, and I know it's in Houston, and so I love Mac Jones, and it's some people wanted Justin Fields. I was one of those people that wanted Justin Fields, but
Personally too.
I feel like you got to get a quarterback that fits your. Yeah. But what they gave up for him, I'm kind of glad we didn't. I know they gave up, I think, 2 first-round picks for that, and so I'm very happy that we got Mac Jones, because I feel like he fits that play style that Josh McDaniels likes. He doesn't have to change the offense. He has enough mobility to move the pocket if he needs to, a little more than Tom Brady, but I feel like he plays more like Brady, and that's why I feel like we got him instead.
Now, what about the possibility of Julio Jones coming in with Foxborough?
I am with
What do you
it.
think they're going to have to give up?
I'm with it.
So I did show you last night during the game.
Second round pick.
Send him second round. I'm with it.
I'm with that. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger on it.
we don't need we don't need 4 quarterbacks. Sit them.
Well, do you remember that one season where Brady got hurt?
Oh no, Brady was suspended. Then
Garoppolo
and then they put Brissett in, and then Brissett got hurt.
and then it was down to Stidham. So it's very possible that they could meet up the 4 quarterbacks.
I think what's gonna happen. I feel like they're gonna have Cam, Mac, and Stidham. I think they have Hoyer there just as a point of coaching. You know, understanding the mechanics. Yeah, they brought him back, but it was a cheap contract, and I feel like it was just to bring him in, and then they're gonna cut him before the season starts.
Useless in a sense, but kind of.
I feel like he's a good coach to younger players, and I feel like that's why they brought him in.
You know who I see being coach after he retires? Tom Brady.
I could see that. I could see that.
Well, depending on
Maybe offense. I don't know if like a head coach.
I see more offense either a QB coach.
Yeah. And speaking of QB coaches, Cam Newton's been working with Tom Brady's QB coach over the offseason to revamp his form. And in the videos I've seen of him at camp, he's been
lights out.
perfect spirals and right on the money.
I've been watching the wideouts at training camp. They look good, especially Kendrick Bourne. I'm excited.
I'm very excited about Kendrick Bourne. I'm so excited.
He's so quick and elusive, and he's gonna be a good one for us. I can promise you that.
You know, and I feel like, you know, with Mac Jones, it wasn't an unexpected signing. I feel like the reason I feel like he fits better is he's good at taking input. You know, and I feel like he'll be able to listen and take information from everybody. You know, not saying Justin Fields can do that. But I feel like Justin Fields just has that more of a, like, he's all good. And that's why I feel like they didn't want to take him. And so, yeah. Speaking of football, there was a new IR rule that might be passed in football, and I wanted to talk about it because I feel like this is beneficial to teams depending on, you know, the type of injury. So the rule is you're going to have a bigger practice squad, so they're adding more players to your practice squad, as well as a 3-week return for IR instead of, I think it's 6 weeks now. And so I feel like this is better because, you know, just in general, you can, I think they can keep you longer. But if it's just like, you know, a little injury that only takes a couple weeks, then why give them the extra time to just sit on it for no reason and, you know, maybe lose like that playing form? And so I feel like that is better because then it also allows the team to get like a better player back if it was just a little injury. You know, I feel like, you know, Sony Michel, he had a little injury last year and he was gone for 6 weeks, and our backfield kind of suffered without him.
Yeah. Another NFL rule is that the number jersey change.
Yeah, I love that.
You can now
wide receivers can go down to number 1, and I think it's 1 and up. You know how in college you can have multiple numbers at different positions? You can do that in the NFL now. You know, a wide receiver can have number 8.
So like say like an athlete in college can have their college number, but so like say Derrick Henry was, I think 2.
He was 2. So
now he's 22.
Yeah.
So now he can go back.
He can go back to 2 because in the NFL, like certain positions can only have certain set numbers.
Yeah.
Now they have a more option of like the numbers they can have.
I know a few wideouts have already switched. Not really wide.
Someone switched to number 1. I forget what wide receiver that was.
KJ Hamler
Yep.
in the Broncos, and then a few others have switched. As well.
Yep. Deshaun Jackson's number 1 now in the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? I kind of like it because, you know, it allows it to be more diverse. You know, there's less people with the same numbers because wide receivers, you know, they only had a certain amount of numbers. Now they have more, and you won't get the same people.
Now you can go to the store and get
different jerseys. Yep. And so I'm all for that. I know Tom Brady spoke out about it. He didn't like it. He goes, the number's a number. It doesn't matter. But I feel like it allows. Oh yeah, no masks in. Well, certain stores.
But for the most part, we're free.
And it's nice. It's nice. It's very, especially in the gym. No masks in the gym. Oh, the plastic. Yeah, I do agree with that. I feel like it's hard.
It sucks.
But for me, Mike, going to the gym,
makes it so much easier. And you know, I'm very happy they did that. You know, we needed a break, and I know a lot of people thought it was too soon, but you know, we got the vaccines now and all that, and it's
You need to build herd immunity.
exactly. I feel like, and especially all that stuff that came out about how not effective masks are, especially, you know, I know there was a thing on the news about how it's like small that it goes through the masks, and
it's like a small change.
you know, I know they still want us to wear masks, and you know, that's fine. You know, it's their security, but especially with the vaccines and stuff, I feel like you need to start opening things up again. And I know my college, I go Merrimack, is, you know, they're opening up the.
Right, baby.
Yep, and they're opening up the whole campus this year, and you know, I'm excited for that because of this vaccine and them passing no masks and stuff, and so
But then the other thing is that vaccine, how sick it's going to make people.
that is true. You know, we don't know the side effects.
You got the vaccine from college and he was down and out for about a week.
Yep.
But it also depends on the person.
I do feel like it depends on the person. It also depends where you get the vaccine and which one it is. No.
Also, my college is planning to open full time as well. New State, Wolf Panthers, baby.
Sir, and you know, I'm very glad they did it. I don't think it was early. I think it was the perfect time for it. You know, it's been almost fully. I think it was fully a year since everything happened, and so, and I feel like, you know, that year everything was crazy, and then as of lately, you know, everybody's just not caring, and so I feel like that's why they lifted it. I feel like they saw how people were just, you know, nonchalantly.
I mean, at first I was very afraid to take the mask off because I was like, I don't want to look like one of those crazy
Yeah,
people.
but now everybody's doing it now.
Nah, I was like, fuck this, bro. I was like, nah. When word got out that the mask mandate was lifted, including myself, everyone was hyped.
Yeah,
we all put it on our IG stories, and then I went to go continue and blast
Mask off. Yes,
on
sir.
repeat.
I thought that was so funny.
That was very
Yeah.
beneficial. All right, boys. Me, Mike's favorite segment, hot takes.
We love our hot takes.
Card rips halfway.
Yep. We're taking an intermission with the card rips, and then we're gonna hit hot takes. So
Shout out to my guy Mike at Case and Collectibles, 781 River Street in Haverhill, Mass. Athens Pizza Plaza. Great prices, a lot of selection. Let's see what we get in here, boys. This is Upper Deck Series 2, 2020, 2021 hobby pack.
you can go closer to the camera if you want, just to show them more. But you just want to have the microphone.
You can.
Actually, you know what? I'll keep it right here and I'll hold it up so they can.
Oh, yeah.
They can see me back. I'll hold it over the computer.
I was gonna get some packs, but I ran out of time to get them for today.
A little bit of a time crunch.
A little time crunch this morning. I'll get them for next time though.
Alright.
Guys, by the way, we're filming this every Friday. We're going to be probably uploading it every Sunday or sooner than later. So stay tuned for every episode.
Probably, hopefully, the night after we finish, so we can get the
Information out
most
there.
recent info.
Yeah.
Alright,
All right, let's see what we get.
first one. Got a base on drip lot.
Oh, before you keep going, is it like Pokemon where you have a certain order, like the certain ones at the bottom are the better ones, or is it just random?
Well, I don't know. I've seen people do it, I've seen people
Just go.
not. So, next up, base Jacob Voracek. Pecorini.
I picked this pack by the way, so it might not be that
And
good.
then UD portraits of Ty Dellandria.
I hope the people can see.
Not bad. Decent. Andy Ranta. Valtteri Filppula. Hartford Whalers jersey, Jordan Stahl. And then winter classic jersey, Roman Yossi.
You want to go closer to them and show them all of them?
That's fine.
Ah.
I didn't get anything crazy in this, just the UD portraits.
You know, it's the anticipation of getting something good, you know?
Hi guys, and we're back from Kyle's intermission. So now, hot takes, boys.
Hot takes.
Hot takes.
Let's go this way. So,
So go
You
first.
got any? Whatever you got.
all right, Jack. Well, let's take on yours
My
first.
turn. You want me to read all mine, or you want me
Let's
to
go. We'll go one. We'll go back and forth on
Alright.
this.
My first hot take is Fruit Loops are a top 10 cereal.
I have.
Loops are top 10.
I would say top 30.
Top 30.
I put them low, bro. I'm not a big Fruit Loops guy, you know.
No,
I
I
used
love
to
my
eat
Fruit Loops.
cereal like crazy as a kid. I'd have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But Fruit Loops,
I wasn't a big,
I was a big Fruit Loops
I was a big fan of Crave. Crave is very good. I would put top 5 for Crave.
I've never had Crave, so I can't say
Captain's
anything.
Crunch. Peanut butter Captain's Crunch is amazing. The fruit ones are good too, though.
But that's just my opinion, boys.
I'll give you top 10. I'll give you top 10. Maybe not top 5.
We'll give it to him.
My first one is I feel like the Bucks are gonna collapse this next year. I feel like they're not gonna play as good. I feel like maybe playoffs, maybe not at all. I just feel like they had that good year. Maybe they're gonna ride that hype and
It all
crash.
depends on what Giannis is going to do. It all depends on how he's going to perform.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel like they're riding the hype. I feel like they're gonna collapse, and I feel like the Buccaneers are gonna collapse as well. In football, I feel like there's 2 teams that might just not make it far next year. This year,
From a very low team to Super Bowl champion.
and I feel like that hype might be what kills them.
I think so too.
And so,
Could be the one that chokes him.
the Bucks, I think this year is a good year, but maybe next year they might lose a lot of pieces. I know they have a lot of free agents next year,
If you lose their receivers, forget it.
but as of right now, Bucks, I don't think are going to make the playoffs, and the Buccaneers, I feel like might not make the playoffs this coming year. I feel like the Bucks probably going to beat the Nets this year, but I don't know how they're going to do next year. So we'll just have to see.
I don't know.
My second hot take is going along kind of the same sense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have them as not repeating a Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, I see.
So you do have them making the playoffs, but they might not make it too.
Oh, yeah, they make the playoffs, no doubt.
I do feel like they will make the playoffs. I feel like they might struggle more this year than they did last year, though. I feel like a lot of people know what they're doing, and I feel like a lot of people are going to prepare better for what they're doing.
You know, you bring up a valid point that a lot more teams are going to be way more prepared for this Bucks team going into this season. Now that the fans are back in the stands.
True. And you can.
It's going to be the crowd that can also turn the tide of a game.
I do want to say this. What happened to the Chiefs? Their offense was picked apart, and you saw what the Bucks did to them. They just ran 2-3 high safeties and they shut them down.
Mahomes was
I'll give it to the Chiefs. They made it to the Super Bowl back
That is true. They did make it. But I feel like what happened to the Chiefs is going to happen to the Bucks. Their offense is going to be figured out, and it might be hard if they don't come up with this a newer offense or a different offense that will allow them to prosper. It is the
All
offseason.
these coaches now have God knows how much freaking time on their hands to sit back
And watch.
and watch all
Exactly.
all the-
And you know who the number one coach is watching Buccaneers tape right now? That's Bill Belichick.
Indeed.
damn right.
Bill Belichick.
He's getting so ready for week 4.
And to be honest with you, I feel like Tom Brady's gonna suffer, and I feel like he might not do that good because I feel like the fans are gonna be there, and it's hard. And he knows how good New England fans are, and they're not behind him this time. They're against him.
We get
And
routed.
this defense is going to be looking to make a
And this defense has gotten a lot of pieces this year off season as well, and it's scary. And I feel like that's why I feel like the Patriots are gonna be a big time Super Bowl team this year. Even though a lot of people are not putting it, especially with the 18-game season, I feel like maybe a 10-8, 10-8, 11-7, maybe even a 12-6.
18 games.
Yep. There's 18 games, or 17 games, sorry. I think a 10-7 season, maybe a 11-6 or 12-5. I feel like those are possible. I definitely don't think they're definitely gonna lose a few.
Yes.
The Browns, I think they might lose to the Browns. Especially, I think
have them losing to the Browns.
that's a game I wanted to go to because I feel like it's gonna be a good game. Tickets are very expensive, especially the Buccaneers game. I know those are.
Browns?
No, the Browns I think is around 300. I know the Buccaneers are very expensive, though. Very expensive.
$1,000 a seat.
Especially.
That's someone's rent for the month.
I know, and I know when you buy them, my friend Chris was telling us, you have to buy them in sections because of COVID. You have to buy like 2 next to each other, so it's combined 2.
Is they still the COVID rules going?
I think so. You have to buy like 2 sections, one next to each other. So you're paying almost $3,000 for tickets,
Forget it.
and so I wouldn't do that. And so
That's not something that a company would for their employees.
exactly.
Be able to pay that kind of money for
But-
tickets.
I do feel like I feel like the Bucks will collapse, and I feel like all is well with if Tom Brady does go back, and you know you can't count him out, but we'll have to see as the season goes on.
Any more hot takes, or are we gonna go to the good eats?
I do have two basketball. I have two basketball hot takes.
We're running out of a lot of time here, so let's keep it.
I got Celtics. My hot take is the Celtics are gonna make it to the chip next year, finals.
That is on.
Especially if Brad Stevens can pull this team together, I feel like they're gonna make it to the championship.
Very hot take.
Depending on how the league falls around them, I feel like they can.
I have Celtics sign Bradley Beal this offseason.
He's at his end of his contract, right? I feel like Brad Stevens might do that if they can offload if they can offload Marcus Smart to make the room for him. I feel like they can. I feel like that will happen. I also, on talk of collapse, I feel like the chemistry between the Nets might falter over the offseason. Maybe if they lose Kevin Durant, I feel like maybe they will collapse next year as well. They may not go back to back. That's an. I don't know how you guys feel about that one, but
You got any more?
that was my last.
It's all me.
Alright, I got just some good eats.
You go. We'll go this way. We'll go this way again. So you start, Kyle.
My good eats choice. Out of Chelsea, Massachusetts, I have the Newbridge Restaurant. They are most famous for their steak tips and their steak fries. So good. Not only that, a lot of really good Italian food.
That is.
Chicken lamone, chicken parm, veal. I think that's what my dad has veal.
Yeah.
He's a big veal. So check it out. Chelsea, Massachusetts, the Newbridge Restaurant. It's on the corner. It's a corner restaurant.
My good eats is shout out to Kelly's roast beef and Saugus, man.
Yes.
I remember the first time this kid took me to Kelly's.
That was a while back.
It was a while back, but they have really good. They have really good roast beef. They have a lot of selections
Green
too.
Beach, Route 1 Saugus. Route 1 South Saugus.
Mine is gonna be coming from Methuen. I'm gonna go Borelli's Deli.
Yeah, alright.
They have fantastic subs. You know, you got the chicken parm is out of this world, and I can't go against it, man. That's just so good.
That's facts.
So good.
All right, guys, before we wrap up today's show, we have a fun fact of the day. The fun fact of the day is Norwell's tusk reveals its past living conditions. So that's an interesting fun fact of the day.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How they've lived, you know, like the condition of their tusks.
Yes.
Norwell's.
Really?
Yep.
Yes. Look it up.
See, this is why we have fun facts, because people get surprised about them.
Hi guys, thank you for tuning in to the first episode of The Fellas, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like this video, comment on this video if you want more segments, different segments of what we should do. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, obviously. Follow these guys on Instagram. I'll plug my Instagram also. Guys.
And check out our YouTubes too.
Yeah.
We got YouTube.
Streams.
And Novus on YouTube. I'll definitely put a link in the description after I'm done editing this video.
Send it to me.
Yep.
Peace.
Almost an hour. It was for me. It was 52:53. What is yours?
Oh, I don't know. How do I fucking save this?
You have to like click. You have to like exit out of it. Hold on. Let me listen to it real quick.